Think about the last time someone ignored your message, or when you walked into a room and instantly changed how you acted, or when you felt uncomfortable for no clear reason, even though nothing bad happened. Here's the truth most people never realize. Those reactions weren't random. They were psychological effects controlling you. And the scariest part? You experience them every single day, without knowing they even have names. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 powerful social psychology effects that silently shape how you think, feel, and behave at work, online, in relationships, and in public. Once you understand these, you'll start noticing them everywhere. And once you notice them, you can't unsee them. Let's start with one that's happening around you constantly.
Have you ever noticed that you talk differently depending on who you're with? With friends, you're relaxed. At work, you're more formal. Around certain people, you even start using words or expressions you never used before. This isn't coincidence. It's called the chameleon effect. Your brain subconsciously imitates the behavior, tone, posture, and even facial expressions of the people around you. Not because you want to copy them, but because your brain wants social acceptance.
Psychologists discovered that humans mirror others automatically to build trust, reduce social tension, and feel connected. That's why you feel more comfortable with people who feel familiar, even if you just met them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. People who understand this effect, salespeople, influencers, negotiators, use it intentionally. They mirror you first, and your brain responds with trust. You think you're choosing to like them, but psychologically, you're being guided. Have you ever made a small mistake in public? Stumbled over your words, wore something awkward, or said something slightly embarrassing? And afterward, you kept replaying it in your head for hours. You felt like everyone noticed. They didn't. This is called the spotlight effect. Your brain dramatically overestimates how much attention other people are paying to you. You feel like you're under a spotlight, but in reality, everyone else is busy worrying about themselves. This effect creates social anxiety, stops people from posting online, and kills confidence before opportunities even start. The irony? Everyone thinks they're being judged, which means no one actually is. And once you truly understand this, you gain something rare: freedom. But what happens when attention disappears completely? When silence replaces connection? That's where the next effect begins. Let's talk about something everyone has experienced, but almost no one understands. Silence. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that appears after connection. The unanswered message, the ignored comment, the absence that feels louder than words. Think about this moment. You send a message, you see the notification, seen. Then nothing. No reply. No explanation. Just silence. And suddenly, your mood changes. Your focus disappears. Your mind starts creating stories. Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain processes social rejection the same way it processes physical pain. Neuroscientists discovered that when you're ignored, excluded, or rejected, your brain activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the exact same region responsible for physical pain. That's why being left out doesn't just feel bad, it hurts. This effect explains why ghosting feels unbearable, why social media validation feels addictive, and why silence feels louder than words. From an evolutionary perspective, rejection meant danger. Being excluded from the group once meant you might not survive, so your brain reacts fast and emotionally, even when rejection happens online. Understanding this changes everything. It means you're not weak for feeling this way. Your brain is simply doing what it was designed to do. And now, let's move to an effect that explains why people often fail to act, even when they know something is wrong. Imagine a crowded place. Someone needs help. People notice. Everyone hesitates. Yet, no one steps forward. This is known as the bystander effect. The more people present, the less responsibility each person feels. Your brain assumes someone else will handle it. Psychologists found that in group situations, responsibility gets mentally divided until it disappears. That's why emergencies go ignored in public spaces, why online harassment continues without intervention, and why people freeze instead of helping. Here's the most uncomfortable truth. Most people who fail to help aren't heartless, they're psychologically blocked. But here's the powerful part. Once someone breaks the silence, once one person acts, the effect collapses. Others follow. Awareness turns passive observers into leaders. And now that you understand how group psychology controls action, the next effects reveal something even deeper. Why people defend bad decisions, why they justify harmful behavior, and why they protect beliefs even when facts prove them wrong. That's where psychology becomes dangerous and fascinating. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Have you ever stuck with a decision, even when deep down you knew it wasn't right? Maybe it was a relationship, a habit, a belief, or even defending someone you shouldn't have. There's a psychological reason for that. This is called cognitive dissonance. It happens when your actions don't align with your beliefs, and your brain feels psychological tension, and your brain hates tension. So instead of changing behavior, it changes the story. You tell yourself things like, "It's not that bad. I had no choice. Everyone does it." These thoughts don't remove the problem. They remove the discomfort of admitting you're wrong. This effect explains why people stay in toxic relationships, why bad habits continue for years, and why people defend wrong decisions publicly. Your brain would rather protect its identity than accept being wrong, because admitting you're wrong feels like losing part of who you are. Once you recognize this effect, you gain a powerful skill. The ability to pause and ask, am I explaining or am I justifying? That single question can change your life. Now let's talk about something even more unsettling. Imagine a person wearing a lab coat, a uniform, a suit, or holding an impressive title. Instantly, your brain assigns them credibility, even before they speak. This is called authority bias. Psychologists discovered that people are far more likely to obey instructions when they come from someone perceived as an authority, even if those instructions go against logic or morals. Your brain uses authority as a shortcut for truth. This explains why fake experts go viral, why people trust confidence over competence, and why harmful instructions sometimes get followed. If they're important, your brain assumes they must be right. But history shows us something disturbing. Authority doesn't equal correctness, confidence doesn't equal intelligence, and titles don't equal truth. The moment you stop questioning authority is the moment you hand over your thinking. And this leads us to the final effect, the one that silently shapes your fear, your beliefs, and your perception of reality every single day. There's one last psychological effect that quietly influences how you see the world. It doesn't just affect your behavior, it shapes your fears, your beliefs, and even what you think is normal. And the most dangerous part? You rarely notice it happening. This effect is called the availability heuristic. Your brain judges reality based on what comes to mind easily, not on what's actually most common or true. If something is easy to remember, your brain assumes it must be important or frequent. That's why one viral crime story can make the world feel unsafe, why constant negative news makes life feel worse than it is, and why rare events start feeling common just because you see them often. Your perception of reality isn't built on facts, it's built on exposure. Your brain doesn't ask, "Is this accurate?" It asks, "Have I seen this before?"